gon' be alright.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Mona and I'm a first year medical student. So today I'm going to be discussing how I got into medical school, and I'm just gonna briefly touch on the different things that I did because there's a lot of different things that do go into a medical school application. If you guys are interested, I can elaborate more on specific things, but I'm just gonna tell you guys the different things I did in undergrad and what I think got me to medical school. Now, I'm gonna start by saying take everything that I say with a grain of salt because
I don't fully know how I got into medical school.
nobody knows exactly what in their application was the strongest part of it, because these are people who are reading your application, and the biggest thing is that you connect with somebody who is reading your application. So it could be your grades that get you there, but for many people like myself, that wasn't the strongest part of my application. So I really did have to make up for it in different aspects, and so I'm gonna tell you guys what I did. The first thing is grades and MCAT. So a lot of it is a numbers game, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I personally did not have the best grades. I'm not gonna tell y'all numbers because
I'm just not.
But it wasn't the best, all right? I'm just gonna be honest. My suggestion with grades is to make your schedule so that you can prosper, okay? So number one thing, I did not know that science GPA was such a big deal when I first started undergrad. So my suggestion to first years and second years in undergrad, or whatever year you're in, make your schedule so that you can get A's specifically in your science classes. And not just science, I'm talking about biochem, your BCPM, I think. So your biochem, chemistry, math, and physics. That's like the four, I guess, courses or whatever that fall under your science GPA. And that's the biggest thing, to be completely honest with you. So you want to make your schedule so that you're taking maybe 2 of those in one semester, and you can really focus on getting A's in those specific courses, because that's the most important thing. So I wish I knew that. I did not know that my freshman year, and my GPA did suffer because of that, specifically my science GPA. So that's the number one thing, is getting your GPA as high as you can.
All right, guys, I forgot to mention, talk to people who have taken the courses before and find out which professor is the easiest professor to get an A in, which professor is the best at teaching the course. So you want to make sure that you're actually setting yourself up for success.
As far as the MCAT goes, I'm gonna make a whole different video about that, but I just wanted to say that it's very important. Like I said, part of it is a numbers game, and you want to make the cutoff. So yeah, that's that. Something that I did really with my application was trying to find ways to set myself apart from people. So I would look into summer programs, just like Google random things, and watch YouTube videos of people, like just trying to find a niche that would help me get into school, because my grades were not the strongest part of my application. The summer of my second year, or the summer between my second and third year of college, I did research at the NIH. So research, that was something that I felt strengthened my application. I honestly felt like I jumped into it because I had heard that research is something you should have on your application. You don't have to have research on your application. Plenty of my classmates have no research experience, and when you get to medical school, if you want to go into a research heavy field, there will be plenty of opportunities to do research, so don't feel completely pressed to do it, but I would say it does strengthen your application, especially if you want to apply to a research heavy curriculum school. Just do research on what type of school you want to go to, and if it is very research heavy, like, you do really want to have research on your application. So that was something that I did. I love my experience at the NIH. It gave me a lot of respect for medical research and clinical research and just science in general. It was a really, really good environment to learn in. I highly suggest it. Number 3, I majored in business. So I went to Georgia Tech for undergrad, graduated with a degree in business administration, and Loved it. I thought it was such a unique experience, and I think that it really did help my application stand out. I did not start as a business major, so I started as a chemistry major because that's what everybody who is a pre-med majored in, so I was like,
Yeah, okay, let me major in chemistry like everyone else.
and it wasn't really working out. So I had to go back to the drawing board after my second year and kind of reevaluate what my goals were and what did I really need to be a doctor, and if it didn't fall into that category, then I was gonna do what I wanted to do and make sure that I was happy, and that's what I did. I switched to business. I was so happy with my decision. I never doubted it for a second. I think that, in fact, it helped my application significantly because everybody applying to medical school is like a biology, chemistry, or biochemistry major, like literally so many people. So if you can major in something that's not science, honestly, truly, you might be better off. Like, I did research on the statistics, and actually, like, in terms of how many applied and how many students applied and how many students actually got in, like a larger percentage of non-science applicants got in versus science applicants. So I don't know, do the math, do the research for yourself. I felt like it did strengthen my application, and I felt like business gave me skills and tools that are very applicable to medical school and medicine at large. So I never doubted that. I love that decision that I made. Number 4, so I did sports medicine in undergrad. I worked with the athletic trainers for the Georgia Tech football team, and I worked under an orthopedic surgeon, a sports medicine physician, and again, certified athletic trainers, and it was really great. It was paid clinical experience, and I felt like that was a big strength for me. So not a lot of students coming straight out of undergrad can say that they have paid medical experience. So if you can find a way to do that, it looks better than just volunteering at a hospital or shadowing, because you're actually providing some form of healthcare to a patient. It shows the people reviewing your application that you know what it means to be a healthcare provider in a sense. And that just, yeah, I felt like that was a really strong part of my application. I know plenty of people who are medical scribes, who were EMTs, there's just different ways that you can get paid clinical experience, but if you can, I think that it's stronger than just shadowing or volunteering in a hospital. And that leads me into number 5. I had great references. So a huge part of it is finding a network, building your network, finding people who can really vouch for you, especially people in the medical field. So the orthopedic surgeon that I worked under while I was working with Georgia Tech Sports Medicine was a very well-respected surgeon, one of the top surgeons in his field, and I felt like that really did help me get a foot in the door. So if you can find people to work under and shadow, that's gonna go a long way. And I know it can be hard when you don't have family in medicine, when you don't necessarily know a lot of people in medicine, which was me, but you gotta step out of your comfort zone, and you just gotta go for it. Like, really try to network, because you're gonna need to do it. Like, that's just how it's gonna be for the rest of your education and the rest of your career. Like, you're just gonna need to be able to talk to people, be able to work your way up, and better to start now than later. And number 6, so I started an organization. So leadership is huge. Physicians are leaders. Like, at the end of the day, you're leading the whole healthcare team. So you want to be able to show that you can play that role and do it the right way. Finding a leadership position in general is important, but for me, like I said, it was huge for me to try to find ways to make my application a little different. So yes, you have all these check boxes you want to fill, but try to find your own niche and try to find your own twist to it. So number 7, know your story. So it is really important to know why you want to be a doctor, for many reasons, not just your application. It is a very difficult process, and you take out a lot of loans, okay? So you don't need to try to go to medical school if that's really not what you want to do. So know why you want to be a doctor. Seriously, sit down and think about it, because when I was in the middle of undergrad, I felt like I was supposed to be a doctor, but to be completely honest with you, I didn't actually know the legitimate reasons why I wanted to be a doctor, and I really had to sit down and think about it. So take the time to sit down and think about why you want to do what you're doing, because you're gonna have to get that across in your application. And more than that, you need to think about why you did the specific things that you did throughout undergrad and how that contributes to your overall goals. So now that I'm telling you guys, it sounds very calculated. I did this and I did that, but to be completely honest with you, it wasn't. I was like shooting in the dark. Like, I'm not kidding y'all. Like, I didn't know anybody in medical school. Nobody. I like had no personal relationships with physicians. I went to an engineering institution. We didn't even have a pre-medical advisor for like the first 3 years of college. So it was literally just doing my Googles and going with it. Like, so as calculated as it sounds, it wasn't that calculated, and I did have to find ways to twist the different pieces of my application and basically make sure that it all told my story in a sense. And the best way to do that is to just stay authentic and to do things that you genuinely appreciate, because you're going to be able to talk about them, and it's gonna sound like you're passionate if you're actually doing things that you want to do. So know yourself and know your story. And that's gonna come across in your interview. I felt like my interview was one of the stronger parts of my application. And so, yeah, you want to be able to sell yourself, and you have to know yourself before you can sell yourself.
So yeah. Ooh, that's kind of nice. That's a quote.
Anywho, number 8. I think I stopped counting, I'm sorry. But anywho, don't read Student Doctor Network, okay? Like, just don't do it. Just don't. Like, I know it's so tempting, and I did it myself, but it's just gonna stress you out. Like, you don't need that stress in your life, honey. You just don't. I feel like people get on there and talk like they know what they're talking about, but they don't. Nobody knows what they're talking about. And to be completely honest with you, I fully don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I can't tell you that XYZ is gonna get you into medical school, because I have never reviewed applications, and I've never said this person's getting in and this person's not. Like, at the end of the day, it comes down to connecting with somebody who's reading your application. That's it. Not connecting with somebody on Student Doctor Network. And there are certain benefits to reading forums like that. Like, people will post like the secondary application, and it's really helpful to be able to read the questions before they actually send you your secondary, because it's a very time sensitive process, which will make another video on. But just don't get caught up in the hype. Just don't, because like I said, you don't need that stress in your life. Which brings me to my last point. Trust the process. At the end of the day, if this is what you're meant to do, it's going to happen. It's like, literally, if this is your destiny to go to medical school, it will happen. Like, there's no good that's gonna come out of you overstressing it. There's no good that's gonna come out of you thinking, oh, I got this score, so I'm never gonna get in. And I'm telling you this now, but when I was an undergrad, I had those same thoughts, and I'm very analytical, and I like to calculate things. So like, I was the type to be like,
Well, there's a 25% chance that I'll get into medical school.
But there's no way to calculate it. Like I said, none of us really know how to quote unquote get into medical school, but these are just suggestions that will help you get there. But trust that if that's what you're meant to do, your story will come across to somebody, and it will get you into medical school, okay? Just trust that. Don't doubt yourself. And people might tell you like,
oh, well, you don't have the numbers to get in, or oh, well, you know, you don't have the background to do this. Like, you shouldn't be applying to medical school. You're a business major.
forget them, okay? I'm in medical school. Like, I did it. I didn't have the best GPA. I wasn't a science major, and I got into medical school, so you can too. That pretty much wraps up my how I got into medical school video. If you guys have any questions or want me to make a video that kind of goes more in depth about a specific thing that I was involved in, go ahead and comment down below and let me know. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, just go ahead and let me know too. And yeah, please subscribe. I'm really trying to build this network, so y'all go ahead and help your girl out and hit the subscribe button, please. And that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
Yeah.